professional solutions to money, relationships, wellness, and more. Shine a light onto your day and into your life. Power Your Life with Dr. Joanne White.
Hello and welcome to Power Your Life. I'm Joanne White, your host, and my first guest is President and CEO of Southern New Jersey Chamber of Commerce. Debra DiLorenzo will share with us how the Chamber helps the community and local businesses in our area. Welcome, Debra.
Thank you for having me, Joanne.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So you have been with the Chamber for 20 years, and we just talked, and you said you're going to be celebrating your 20th anniversary with them. What do you see as the biggest achievement in the 20 years? I know there's a lot, so let's just pick one.
Well, it has to be that our members consistently give us a 97% satisfaction rate. And so I'm all about the members. Without the members being happy, they don't need me as president.
So that's important because what they're doing is they're saying they like what's going on with the Chamber. They feel that they're getting support that they need.
Exactly.
So how does the Chamber influence public policy? There's been so much going on with big businesses kind of taking over in terms of control, and oftentimes the small businesses, which is what your Chamber primarily represents, small businesses and organizations, sometimes don't really have that voice. So how do you influence it?
Well, the infrastructure at our Chamber for Public Policy is 6 working policy committees in different areas. So we have a Congressional Action Committee, we have a State Affairs Committee, we have an Environment Committee, a Health Issues Committee, et cetera. And these committees are comprised of members and are chaired by members who are experts in their field, and they meet regularly to discuss legislation and regulation that impacts that particular area. We do then communicate to our legislators what our positions are on different bills and different pieces of regulation that are working their way through the process. And we do have a seat at the table in Trenton on every major issue that affects the employer community in New Jersey. And we are viewed as the South Jersey business community's voice in Trenton, something we're very proud of.
So you have a powerful voice, that you do have some influence, which is fantastic.
We do, and it comes from the research that we do based on what the members tell us how a bill or a regulation would affect them.
So, Debra, is there something that the Chamber is working on now in terms of legislation that's very important?
Yes, there is a bill that's working its way through the process that sounds wonderful. But you know, Joanne, this old adage our mothers taught us, the devil is in the details.
Right.
So this bill would mandate employers of all sizes to provide paid time off for a variety of reasons, not for the employee's sickness, but for other reasons. And so we feel that our bases are covered, our employees are covered by other mandates like paid family leave and other sick time type regulations that are out there. This would just be another layer of really getting in the way of the relationship between an employer and an employee, and especially for small business, it's going to cost a lot of money.
So basically what you're feeling is that small businesses are already covered in terms of their relationships with their employees, and they do offer personal days and sick days.
Let's face it, we want to keep our employees happy.
Sure.
So why would we hold back on those kinds of issues? We wouldn't. You know, the people power is the most important aspect of a business. Besides a product and a service, you have to have the right happy people to sell.
So other than political policy, what other resources are available to the small businesses and organizations when they join the Chamber?
Well, we do sell health insurance and dental insurance.
Which is very important these
yes,
days because it's so costly, right?
Yes, and we do take a lot of the questions out of the picture. There's a lot of changes since the Affordable Care Act became law and is being enacted this year, and we're moving in the right direction with the changes to understand them. And we're very proud of the products that we offer to the members. But in addition to that, Joanne, the main aspect of the Chamber is to provide opportunities for the members to come together, So they meet on chamber ground, and then they can start building their relationships so that they can sell to and buy from.
So they relate with one another. They figure out if there's a way of doing business with one another
Absolutely.
and making not only friends but partnerships and
Absolutely.
alliances. You have two upcoming events. One's a women's conference, and another is a Pinnacle dinner. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we're really excited about the women's conference now. This will be our 4th one.
It's
And to tell you
exciting.
the truth, I was always a little worried about having a carve out just for women. But when we elected our first chairwoman of the board 3 years ago in the Chamber's 139 years of operating, we said, as a tribute to our chairwoman, we're going to have a women's conference. And wow, the women members of the Chamber just reacted so beautifully to it. So we've had people like Cindy DiPietrantonio, the CFO of Jones, New York. We've had Teresa Grentz, who was one of the original players on Immaculata's winning team, the Mighty Max.
right.
And last year we had Mary Lou Quinlan, who's a best-selling author from New York.
I think that's wonderful. And so this year it's in May, and you also have the Pinnacle Awards
Yes.
dinner, and you are also the first female president, the only female president of the Chamber, and so kudos to you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. I know you have an event to rush to, so with the Chamber, thanks so much for being here, Deborah.
Thank you for having me, Joanne. Please welcome me back sometime.
We will. Thanks
you.
again. When we come back, addiction in America is a huge problem that doesn't seem to let up. Ahead, you'll meet one man who is helping those individuals fight the battle of alcoholism and depression. We'll talk with Joe Schrank right after the break. Thanks. Welcome back to Power Your Life. Here's a very staggering statistic. 11 million children are living with a parent who's in need of addiction treatment. And my next guest has spent his life in and around active alcoholism. Now he's helping others who are battling the disease. Joe Schrank is the founder of Rebound Brooklyn, an abstinence-based recovery program, and here with us now. Thanks for joining us, Joe.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. So you've been in and around alcoholism, and actually you had your own bout with alcoholism probably many years ago.
Many years ago now. I think I haven't had a drink in 17
That's
years.
bravo.
And that's it's not an easy thing to do, and it's not an easy lifestyle. It's the right thing for me.
So how did you get out of it? How did you decide one day to finally, this is enough, I'm done? Or
Well, I don't even know that it's a decision as much as a process. I feel
Okay.
like it very much is a day at a time, which is a cliche, but it's true. And I think that the days pile into months, and then months pile into years, and then you realize you reap the benefits of living life without intoxication. It's better for me, it's better for the people around me, it's better for the community, and then you really kind of make a commitment to it.
And you've made a commitment to other people, really, to help them who, not only the individuals, but the families who are really going through that.
Well, the family is everything.
Right.
The functionality of the family, and we talk about the individual who has the disease or alcoholism, but really it is a systemic problem, and it impacts so many other people around them that the system has to work and has to function for the individual to recover. So we're very focused on families.
And I think it's important because the family is involved. Just that statistic that we were talking about in terms of the children. What's going to happen, and what happens with children who are living with alcohol, not one or two alcoholic parents? What's their future like?
Their future, they're very prone to alcoholism themselves, so the cycle continues, or it's so normalized for them, they choose relationships that are impaired. And so when we talk about prevention and we talk about education, really what we should be doing is intervening on these types of situations so that these children can break this cycle and make choices in life that would include healthier aspects.
Now, alcohol is also the cause of so many deaths, probably a primary cause, and yet it's
Yeah.
so under the radar. Why is that?
I have no idea. I wish we knew. It's so woven into our fabric of American life.
Our culture,
It
right.
is so part of who we are, the entitlement of the young person to party, and the industry, the alcohol industry, really does not pay the price for the damage that's caused by their product. Most states have not raised taxes on alcohol in many, many years. Wyoming raised taxes on alcohol last in 1935.
Wow.
So it's a big problem that we don't really address. We talk about drugs and we talk about the prescription pill epidemic. We do not talk about alcohol, and alcohol is responsible for more deaths than all drugs combined.
So it's kind of the number one killer.
It's the number one
right,
killer. Not only
right.
the number one killer, but also the collateral damage. How many uninsured emergency room visits are there? Domestic violence. When the rates of alcohol use reduce, all social problems get better.
So do you see that happening anytime soon, Joe?
I see, you know, it's interesting. I mean, I think as some states have legalized marijuana,
Right.
and there are other legal choices for intoxication, it's possible. Not that marijuana is harmless. We don't want to mislead anybody.
Right.
It is absolutely not harmless. However, it seems to be less harmful than alcohol. And so we could see a time in America. Yeah, I didn't think we were going to see gay marriage, doctor, but here we are. So I hope that we rethink drug policy, and I hope that we rethink our relationship with intoxication.
I think that's important. Joe, you have a wonderful treatment program, and what I want people to understand is how do we need to treat people who are going through recovery after actually being in a rehab center or something like that. Oftentimes we've treated people and made them feel shameful or guilty about what's going on, and obviously that approach doesn't work. It just kind of gets people deeper into that cycle, I believe. So what's the answer?
Well, it's very difficult. I think that the parallel process for the family and the people around them to also have their own support is important. Alcoholism is still shame-based. When somebody dies of alcoholism, the feeling is, they kind of deserved it. Maybe not that they didn't deserve it, but they signed up for it. When the truth is, many health issues have a voluntary aspect. Hypertension, obesity. You know, if somebody dies of a heart attack and they're obese, we don't say, well, they deserved that.
Right, or a heart attack.
Or a heart
what-
attack,
right.
right. And so I don't know that there are any easy answers about how to fix this problem or how people can support somebody. But they can certainly learn about the disease. We can certainly treat it as the health issue that it is. We've tried for generations to incarcerate our way out of this problem and punish our way out of this problem.
That doesn't work.
No, it doesn't, and it's going nowhere.
So Rebound Brooklyn actually has a different approach. You look at it as more of a medical problem.
We do. Rebound Brooklyn looks at it as a medical problem, as a health problem. Most rehab and treatment has been very geared towards behavioral modification, which is part of it for sure.
So, but that's only a piece of it.
But that's only a piece of it. And so we have Dr. Scott Bienenfeld, who's our medical director, and on site 3 days a week. So we really take a medical approach to alcoholism.
And that's effective, right?
It's effective. It is. And recovery is possible. There are, according to SAMHSA, there are 20 million Americans who report themselves as living in recovery. So it's possible. Treatment works. It can be beneficial to the individual, the family, and the community.
Right. So the family, in your treatment center, the family is very much involved too.
The family
in the
is very much
process.
involved. In fact, we require that the family be involved.
Good.
And so we do not have clients or patients who won't participate with the family because it won't work. You know, the outcomes are just not there.
So they need to be involved, they need to be engaged, they need to be committed, and they need to not feel guilty and shame.
And they need to understand what they can and what they cannot do.
Great. Thanks so much, Joe. It's been a pleasure, and good luck with your program.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. We're dishing up some healthy vegan recipes with Miss Rachel's Pantry in just a moment. Turn on your appetite and stay tuned. Our next guest began cooking home-style vegan eats in a tiny kitchen 7 years ago, and since then her business has grown to include everything from full-service catering, cooking classes, meal delivery service, and more. Chef Rachel Klein is the owner of Miss Rachel's Pantry. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Dr. White.
Oh, it's a pleasure, and you are going to cook this fabulous treats here. So firstly, as you're starting to cook, why go vegan?
I am a vegan person, and I think veganism is great because it does such a little amount of harm. I don't think that any animal should have to die for me to eat, and I don't like the idea of lives being commoditized. So.
Okay, so let's start cooking.
Yeah, so this is...
Okay, so what are we cooking
today?
We're
going to cook a spring vegetable primavera. So we have so many different vegetables that are, unique to this time of year. We're going to use onions first. These are Vidalia onions that have been diced up. I'm just going to put some in this pan.
So while you're doing that, when people go vegan, how do they get their protein? Because that's always a problem.
Absolutely. There's a lot of protein.
Do you need to mix that up?
I'm going to let it just simmer for a little bit. There's a lot of protein in many different kinds of vegetables, and there's also legumes. There's tempeh and tofu and even wheat protein. So for example, a piece of tempeh, which we use commonly as a vegan protein, has the same amount of protein as a porterhouse steak. So you're not lacking.
No, most people don't know what tempeh is. I love it. I actually do a stir fry with tempeh and vegetables, and it's really great.
Yeah, it's a fermented whole soy protein, so it's actually very easy to digest, and it has some antioxidant properties to it.
So your restaurant has this farmhouse style events,
It
right?
does.
So what does it mean, a farmhouse dinner? What is that?
Sure.
Because it sounds so intriguing.
It's a little different. It's one large table, and I'll put mushrooms in while we talk. These are my Takis.
And Rachel's so kind. She made something gluten-free for me because
I need
that.
A lot of our customers are gluten-free.
Right. So they request that.
They request that for sure. So what it means is we have one large farmhouse table that actually one of our customers made us. We see 12 people at it. And it's 4 courses every Saturday evening. So you're sitting with people you've never met before. So it's kind of neat. In traditional restaurants, it's weird to even kind of...
Right, you hardly communicate with the person, but here you're sitting together and the meal is always a time for conversation.
Exactly.
So they get to talk to one another, meet new people, have new relationships formed from that?
Exactly. It's really nice, and we're BYOB, so at first it might be a little quiet. Everybody has, maybe a drink or maybe they just realize that they have something in common with the person sitting across from them, and they really open up and become friends.
So you put in what kind of mushrooms?
These are maitake mushrooms. These are super earthy, and they have a really wonderful texture, and they don't usually get mushy. So
now I noticed, Rachel, you're not putting any seasoning in there, and you have a little bit of sea salt
here,
which I think is healthy. I use that.
That's what we're gonna.
Okay, so it's very simple.
It's super simple. So we'll salt this a little bit. We can salt as we go along, and I always err on the side of not as much salt because you can always taste it and finish it at the end with more. So these are more mushrooms, the shiitake mushrooms here.
And these mushrooms, by the way, mushrooms are really healthy.
They
I
are.
know that.
They are, and they're a diuretic too.
That I didn't know.
They also, so they'll help you from retaining water. They have a lot of nutrients, and they'll suck up any flavors you cook them with.
So where do you get your products for cooking?
All over the place. Recently we've been working with Fair Food Philly, and they're a nonprofit. They have a little stand in Reading Terminal Market, and they source from local farmers.
Oh, great. So you're supporting local farmers, which is great.
Exactly.
And you don't only support local farmers, you do a lot for supporting the community.
Yeah.
You just had something I think you said in March, Dish It Up. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, so that's a great event. Most of the events that...
Now these are...
Oh, I'm sorry, these are enoki mushrooms and honeycat mushrooms.
Which is that honey?
This little guy right
Look
here.
How cute. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, they're fun.
And these are locally grown too?
The enokis are not, but everything else is.
Okay,
yes.
great.
So most of the events that we participate in are nonprofits for helping animals, but the one we do to help women every year, we participate in, it's called Dish It Up. And
Women
Against Abuse. It's one of their largest events of the year, and it's a fundraiser where we make a bunch of little bites for people to try, and it's a really fun night, and it's pretty much all female chefs.
Oh,
so that's really nice.
Now, if people are cooking this up in their homes, how long does it take?
This whole dish, from start to finish, including making a pasta, and we've chosen a gluten-free pasta, which takes a little bit longer to cook, but altogether about 20 minutes. Of course, I had the luxury of chopping these before I came on here.
But even from chopping to putting it in the pan.
Yeah, it's a quickie, and you can make a lot to bring for lunch the next day, or
Right, that's great.
So these are kind of cool, these little guys here. These are called fiddlehead ferns, And
Now,
these
I
are,
have never, those are adorable.
Aren't they cute?
They look like snails.
they look
so-
like snails, and they taste like asparagus. And I'm
Oh,
gonna.
good, because I love
They're
asparagus.
so wonderful, and they're
And that's local, too?
very local and very limited time
Amazing.
only. They are only available this time of the spring.
Perfect, so
And
we're
then
right in season.
Exactly, and these two, this is called a ramp. And a ramp is kind of like a cross between a scallion and a garlic.
You know what I'm noticing is there are so many vegetables that people have no idea what they are and how healthy they are for us.
Yeah,
and they're
absolutely.
like right in our backyard.
They
So-
are. They
so
are.
it's amazing.
And they don't have a long shelf life, so we take advantage of them when we can get them.
Okay, so we got to finish this
We
up
have to
here, and
finish
I have to
this.
taste it.
Yes,
so,
you
okay,
do.
so those are tomatoes.
Red bell pepper and tomato, yep.
Okay, and what goes
then
next?
Some basil,
All right,
and
basil.
it goes.
And basil is great. I've been making
I'll put it all in.
gluten-free pizza with basil. And,
Yeah.
oh, it's wonderful.
That's great.
And it tastes good.
It tastes wonderful. And then, do you want to pop a couple of these in?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, I'll do that right now. So in with these peas that I.
All right, we got to
Very,
cook
very
it all up
fresh.
in 1 minute here.
All right,
All
here
right.
we go.
Look at that. And it smells good. It really, and you know what I love too? The colors, because it's very beautiful. You can take a picture of it.
Exactly.
And then you can eat it. And you're also
You eat with your eyes, right?
Okay, so what's the last ingredient?
We're
We need
gonna
that.
put a sauce together in 10 seconds.
Okay, because
Yeah.
we may not even have 10
Here we go.
seconds
In with the beans.
here. Okay, 30 seconds here. I'm rushing Rachel.
Rushing me to make a sauce.
Okay, so that's
Water.
actually the sauce. What
White
you
beans
know
and
what?
water.
I was wondering what that was going to be, and that's the sauce. All right, that's good. All right,
All right.
so the sauce goes in it, and Rachel, you're also doing so much with this Woodstock Farm Sanctuary,
Yes.
and
Very excited to be
look
a part
how
of that.
beautiful it is. Let's show the finished dish. It's beautiful, and let me taste it real fast.
Yes, here.
Oh,
Here you
where's my
are.
fork?
Here you
All
are.
right. Rachel, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Enjoy.
Power Your Life will return in a moment, and I'm going to eat. Ahead, find out what's coming up next week. Thank you. Whether it's helping a loved one or ourselves overcome a challenging situation or to move ahead in our lives and in our careers, something is needed. And that something is commitment and determination. When we hold strong to our dreams and to our decisions with resolve, no matter the people in our lives who tell us that it's impossible or the barriers that seem to be insurmountable, we can achieve our goals. Hold fast to your beliefs and believe in you. You are worth it. That's it for Power Your Life tonight. Next week, she's best known as the little mean girl on Little House on the Prairie. Nellie Olson, actress Allison Arngrim, joins me for a great show. Remember that you have the power to power your dreams and power your life.